CSI Linux is a Linux distribution specifically designed for digital forensics and incident response. It is based on Ubuntu LTS and uses the XFCE desktop environment for speed and customization. CSI Linux is maintained by a team of developers and contributors from around the world. The team is led by Jeremy Martin, the founder of CSI Linux. The CSI Linux team is responsible for developing new features and tools, fixing bugs, and providing support to users. CSI Linux is a great choice for digital forensics investigators because it is a comprehensive, easy-to-use, and reliable platform. Some of the specific tasks that CSI Linux is designed for: acquiring and recovering data from digital devices, analyzing file systems, analyzing network activity, analyzing memory dumps, analyzing malware. CSI Linux includes a wide range of tools and features for digital forensics investigations. Here are some of the most popular tools. Autopsy, a graphical user interface (GUI) tool for disk and file system analysis. Catfish, a search tool for finding specific files and artifacts on a disk image. ReconNG, a network reconnaissance framework. FBI, Facebook Information, a tool for gathering information from Facebook profiles. KeyPassXC, a password manager. Nmap, a port scanner. OSINT Framework, a framework for conducting open-source intelligence, OSINT, investigations. OSINT Search, a search engine for OSINT data. Mall2Go, a visual intelligence platform for mapping relationships between entities. Twitter Feed Poll, a tool for collecting tweets from specific users or hashtags. Wireshark, a network traffic analyzer. The Harvester, a tool for gathering email addresses from websites. Sherlock, a web-based tool for analyzing digital forensics evidence. Now we will install and run CSI Linux in virtual machine.
For installing CSI Linux, first we have to open browser, then search for CSI Linux. Always try to download from CSI Linux official website, that is csilinux.com. Then go to the website. In the website, you can find many options. You can direct download CSI Linux latest version, or you can go to download option and download CSI Linux Virtual Appliance for VirtualBox. Click on Direct Download. Wait for some time to complete the downloading procedure. Now we will open the zip file and extract the zip file. It will take some time. Now open CSI Linux VMware.vmx with VMware Player, which is our virtual box. Then click on CSI Linux and wait for some time. Now finally CSI Linux have been installed. You can log in using the default username and password, which are both CSI. CSI Linux is installed on your VirtualBox. On the bottom we can see there are various applications offered by CSI Linux. Now we will shut down CSI Linux, and we will open CSI Linux from virtual machine. Before opening CSI Linux first, we have to change some configuration. Minimum 8 gigs of RAM and 50 gigabytes of free space on your hard drive and 20 gigabytes of free space required for the download. Then click on OK and play the virtual machine. Then again, log in with CSI. Now Stacer is an open-source system optimizer and application monitor that helps to manage entire system with different aspects. The next is bptop, which is another Linux command line utility for resource monitoring, among many other utilities like atop, htop, bashtop, etc. Then next is Task Manager. There are so many tools in CSI Linux, like for encryption and for OSINT also, for incident response, computer forensics, mobile forensics, etc. Some other tools are for malware analysis, reverse engineering, and for threat intelligence, etc. Then, some other tools are CSI Linux case management. The next is CSI Write Blocker. This is the terminal. The default password for CSI Linux is CSI. Then the next tool is Meltego, which is used for gathering information. Meltego will help you in the thinking process by demonstrating connected links between all the searched items. If you want to get hidden information, Meltego can help you to discover it. It is pre-installed in CSI Linux. Then the next is Network Miner, which is passive network sniffer packet capturing tool in order to detect operating systems, sessions, host names, open ports, etc. The next tool is Wireshark, which is used to monitor the network traffic through a network interface. Then the next is bulk_extractor, which is a C++ program that scans a disk image, a file, or a directory of files, and extracts useful information without parsing the file system or file system structures. Then the next tool is AutoSpy. Then Ghidra, which is open-source reverse engineering tool developed by the National Security Agency of the United States. This is the complete overview of the CSI Linux operating system.